Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jeffrey Schultz and I am a master's student in computer science attending Concordia University, Chicago. In this video, I will be discussing two sections on an introduction to Linux, its history, its importance, what the differences between a kernel and an operating system are, as well as some popular Linux distributions. So let's begin. In 1991, Linus Torvalds, he was a Finnish computer science student. He released the first Linux kernel. It was version 0.01. It was inspired by the Minix and GNU projects, and he launched this on a FTP server. So because it was inspired by the GNU project, it adopted its toolchain, Bash, GCC, Core Utils, to become a complete Unix-like environment. So this is honestly why you'll see GNU Linux a lot. It is, if you have not seen this is very popular and very common. So that's why. There are hundreds of volunteers worldwide that began submitting patches almost immediately, allowing for a really rapid, quick, internet-driven collaboration. And this is a big reason to why it's grown to what it's been to what it is today. So Linux is a kernel. Kernel is different than an operating system. The kernel is the core of the operating system that manages hardware, processes, device drivers, memory, system calls, while the operating system itself is the full entire environment that interacts with hardware and provides the user with an interface. So that's big. So the operating system allows the computer to work the way we know it to, while the core of the operating system is called the kernel. Linux itself is monolithic but modular, so most functionality resides in a kernel space, but there are loadable modules that allow it to be flexible. And a good example of this would be like a Wi-Fi driver. So because it was inspired by the GNU project, and it honestly is a big collaboration, so it's as like I said, it's GNU and Linux are usually linked together really a lot. It was released under the GNU General Public License, which means that derivatives must always be open source, which ties in with the fact, like I said too, that there are a bunch of contributors worldwide that are allowing for new patches to be submitted. So Linux is a full OS. So when bundled with user space utilities, package management, initialization systems, types of desktop environments, you get a distro, which just stands for a Linux distribution. And these are able to choose different kernels, package formats, which I'm going to be getting into in a little bit. These are the most popular, the package formats, but there's release models, default user interfaces like GNOME, KDE, rolling or point release models, but Debian, RPM, there's a bunch of different families of package formats that are really popular. Like I said, I'm going to be getting into that in 1 second. So moving on, why Linux matters. Over 96% of the top million web servers and almost all public cloud workloads are running on Linux. And Android, we know how big Android is, which powers over 3 billion devices. Its underpinnings are a modified Linux kernel, so it's running it under the hood. So this is a massive platform, so it's able to cover a lot of Android devices. So for all supercomputers and embedded systems, which are like EVs or autonomous vehicles, whatever you want to call them, routers, smart TVs, and the top 500 supercomputers, every single one of them are relying on Linux. So this is a lot. Because a lot of companies, Tesla is obviously fully autonomous, but there's a lot of companies that are now becoming autonomous. Nissan is a big one. Toyota, it feels like almost every car manufacturer has EVs nowadays because of how much it's spreading and how times are changing. So open code, open source, being open source, like I said, it allows for rapid auditing and patching, and because of how secure and transparent it is with the community, it's very reputable and has a lot of trust. And what's nice about it is Linux is very customizable and controllable, so it can scale for hobbyists, enterprisers, and researchers alike to pretty much anything you want it to do. So your environment can be as customizable as you want when you're running on Linux. So in this section, I'm going to be talking about distributions. So the first family is called the Debian family, which is the .deb or apt package manager. So Debian was founded in 1993 by a guy named Ian Murdoch, and his goal was just to be universal and completely free of software. So it's very stable. It's got a multi-architecture, and there are several different branches, which are called stable, testing, and unstable. It releases every 2 years, and actually the next one, Debian 13, is called Trixie, is expected very soon in mid-2025. So Ubuntu is the next one that in the Debian family, and if you have a Windows computer and you're running on a Linux terminal, you know exactly what this is. Ubuntu was released by Canonical Limited in 2004. It's based on Debian unstable and testing environments, and it's just aiming for Linux for humans. So it's able to execute code, you're able to run your code, run whatever you want on a Linux environment on your computer. So you have the GNOME edition, which is for desktop. You have a cloud container, which is Ubuntu Core Micro K8s, or you have a server edition. The LTS releases every 2 years, and the interim releases every 6 months. So the next one in the Debian family, or the last one I should say that I'm going to be discussing, is called Linux Mint. It was released in 2006. It is based on Ubuntu LTS. It's for a Cinnamon desktop environment, and its focus is on ease for X Windows users. So the next popular family is called the RPM family. This is the .rpm package and the DNF Yum and Zipper package manager. So Fedora is Red Hat sponsored in 2003. The mission is to showcase GNOME, so the desktop environment, its latest tech upstreams innovation for RHEL, which I'll be getting into in the next slide. It stands for Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So the different editions are the Workstation, Server, IoT, which is Internet of Things. An immutable one is Silverblue, and then container only is called CoreOS. It's got 13-month support and a new release every 6 months. So getting a little bit more into RHEL, Red Hat Enterprise Linux. It's commercial, released in 2002, based on Fedora snapshots, 10-year life cycle, long-term stability, and it's got a big market for enterprise servers, ISVs, and any regulated industries. So another one in the RPM family is called OpenSUSE. The Leap Edition fixed releases leveraging SUSE Linux Enterprise code, so it's hybrid stability. Tumbleweed is a rolling release with near daily snapshots, so it's got really easy rollback. And YAST is for system admin tools that are unique to SUSE lineage. So some independent or source-based and rolling, you got one called Arch Linux, which is it's a rolling release, user-centric, and it used the Arch user repository. Gentoo is for source-based builds for really fine-grained optimization, so really performance tweakers. This is really popular because it's really fine-grained and really specific. And then NixOS for any declarative system configurations, reproducible builds, quick rollbacks. And then for mobile and specialized distributions, you have AOSP for Android, which is a Google-maintained kernel for, plus it's got a Java and a Kotlin framework, so a touchscreen UI for apps like we know today. Android is the number one. Like I said, it's Java-based, but under the hood, it's running Linux. And then you have another one called Kali Linux, which is a Debian-based penetration testing suite. So there's over 600 security tools. This is a security one for penetration testing. SteamOS is for it's like a Valve, and it's for gaming, Steam Deck, living room PCs. It's an immutable system that's Arch-based. Alpine Linux is for security-oriented containers with it's got around a 5 megabyte base image. So that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys learned something new. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Have a great day.